In this edition of TransWorld Sport, we're in Dubai for the Sevens World Series opener.
Cambodia's disabled wheelchair racers get a helping hand towards London 2012.
Breakdancing comes home to New York, New York.
And we meet Wayne Parnell, South African cricket's prodigious young star. The peace and tranquility that the Kingdom of Cambodia currently enjoys is in direct contrast to its turbulent past. Years of internecine war and horrific accounts of abuse and violence against its citizens by a tyrannical ruler traumatized the Southeast Asian country. In 1975, Pol Pot and his Khmer Rouge came to power and brutally imposed a radical change in society, a change that sent shockwaves around the world. Its attempts at creating an agrarian-based communist society led to famine, and its eradication of the intellectual elite meant that an estimated 1.5 million people perished as a result of executions and torture. The effects of this brutal regime still reverberate today, but the healing powers of sport are being used to help some of the most needy. A lasting legacy of the conflict continues to claim new victims daily. Landmines litter the countryside, the result being that Cambodia has 40,000 amputees, one of the highest in the world. 7 years ago, we reported on the CNVLD, the Cambodian National Volleyball League for the Disabled. Cambodia was emerging as a major force in the sport and hosted the World Cup in 2007.
It's acknowledged now that there's a distinct change in the Cambodians' attitude towards Cambodians with a disability. Cambodians with a disability are the nation's sporting heroes now, and it's really changed the way people look at people with a disability. Before it was looked down at them, you've had bad karma from a previous life. Now people see the ability, and that was through hosting that World Cup.
This year we returned to Cambodia to find out about another sport for the disabled, wheelchair racing. At the Don Bosco Technical School in Phnom Penh, wheelchairs for all CNVLD events are manufactured. However, the bikes are built for durability and are very heavy, which is a disadvantage to those who compete. Van Von is the country's top wheelchair racer. Earlier this year, the CNVLD announced that they would assist him in his preparations for London 2012. By doing so, it's hoped that Von would become the first Cambodian to qualify outright for a Paralympic Games. In his training for London 2012, he uses a wheelchair manufactured by the Bosco Technical School.
We actually think that it might almost be an advantage to him at the moment training in a heavier chair, because once he gets into an international standard chair, it'll be like a new fresh lease of life for him. So he'll be going a lot faster in that new chair. So in many ways it's a case of step by step that he's taking. So we feel that it's not too much of a disadvantage at this early time.
In January, Vun and coach Neil Wilford have been invited to use the facilities at a Paralympic training centre in Australia. There, he'll also be given an international standard wheelchair. It will be the first time that the 23-year-old Vun, who contracted polio as a child, will travel outside his nation.
I never thought I'd get a chance to travel to a place like Australia, certainly not with my disability. So I'm so happy.
But Van Von will not be the only beneficiary. The wheelchair programme reaches further afield.
The core aim, just like all projects of the CNVLD and like the volleyball program, what we do is we work with disadvantaged individuals, and in Cambodia's case, it happens to be the most marginalised people in Cambodian society, the people with a disability. Through a disciplined program of sport, we give that individual a restored self-esteem and, one of the most important things in life, hope.
Disabled women often find themselves more discriminated against in a society that scorns the disabled in general. Such women are often deemed unattractive and find it difficult to form relationships. However, this wheelchair racing programme in the northern city of Battambang is giving these women a new zest for life.
Since I've joined the wheelchair racing team, my life has changed completely. Before I worked at home as a seamstress and as a hairdresser, but I got quite bored doing that and I was unhappy. But then I joined the team and I started to feel really good about myself. I love coming to training. I also feel much healthier. Before I was often sick and had to stay at home. I felt quite lonely, but now I have a lot of friends.
The programme has certainly improved these women's lives, but places on such schemes are severely limited. And even women who are lucky enough to win a place still find it difficult to cope with everyday life in one of the world's poorest countries.
It's very difficult for a woman with a disability to live in this country. For example, it's almost impossible to find work. And then it's also very hard to travel if you do happen to find a job. The way things are now, it's just really tough. I mean, it's a daily struggle for able-bodied people as well. But for people with disabilities, it's very, very difficult.
Team captain Sieng Suk Chan shares a small house with her father, 6 siblings and her son. Her husband left some time ago and she spends most days alone doing domestic chores. But the wheelchair racing programme has given her a new lease of life.
There are several reasons why it's good to take up this sport. It's beneficial to our health. We don't feel as lonely anymore. And we don't feel abandoned by society. Most importantly, it's a way for us to show people that disabled people have the ability to pursue a sport and that they can achieve things that all Cambodians could be proud of.
Whether they're landmine victims, polio sufferers or traffic accident survivors, the wheelchair racing programme shows that sport is an effective form of rehabilitation, both physically and psychologically. The CNVLD plan to expand their programmes further.
Probably the most important objective of all is we would like to establish Cambodia as the ASEAN Centre for Disability Sports Development and Competition. That's the key objective. Cambodia has the highest ratio of people persons with a disability per head of population in the world. So we believe that Cambodia is the logical home to become the ASEAN Centre for Disability Sports.